Last video of me beating New Vegas within a weapon restricted challenge was very fun, and for a first video did better than I had expected. So here I go again in another game I really enjoy for another challenge run as I ask, can you beat Skyrim with only the Frost spell? The Frost spell is one of the 3 starting novice destruction spells the player can use, and more than likely is the one least used. Its specialty over the 2 other novice spells is the fact that it will drain the target's stamina as well as health, and can partially slow their movement speed. However, because Skyrim is rather known to be quite chilly in places, many enemies have resistance or outright immunity from frost magic, so I'd wager this is going to be tougher than attempting this challenge with a flame or shock spell. Anyway, I'll go into more detail as things come up in the run, so let's do further and find out. Soon after starting, I make my choice of a character as a Dark Elf. 1, because Dark Elves start with good destruction magic stats, and their fire resistance can help against dragons, but more importantly is 2, their dark gray/blue skin combined with their red eyes gives an uncanny resemblance to Mr. Freeze, and I thought that would be funny as a pseudo character run. After listening very intently to the feet of those attending the execution, I get to sprinting through Helgen. Good to know you don't have to wait for Ralof and Hadvar to finish having their hissy fit with each other, and can just run into the keep without them. I go with Hadvar for no real particular reason, and as soon as he's unbound me and finish the 2 Stormcloaks and open the gate, I leave him behind. As far as I know, no character starts with the Frost spell, so I can't attack anyone or anything till I find a spell tome. I do make sure to grab the novice robes and hood in the torture chamber before leaving though. Once out, I make it my way to the Standing Stones and of course pick the Mage Stone for 20% magic skill improvement, and then opt to ride the river down to Riverwood. Luckily for the run, I attain a spell tome for the Frostbite spell from Lucan Valerius, so the run can begin right now. If he didn't, I would have had to run all the way to Whiterun to check, and finally there means I can immediately take off for Bleak Falls Barrow, but not before embracing my criminal likeness and taking all the gold from Albor's house. Right outside Riverwood, I then spot the legendary flying deer just outside of town. Sadly, he meets the same fate as that one guy from Morrowind. First experience with the spell and it goes well. Being the early game, the bandits and wolves I encounter go down easily enough. Any Nord bandits have some frost resistance, but as of now, that doesn't help them. What does benefit from their frost resistance though are the Draugr, as I can tell right away their health is draining much slower. So much so, my magicka runs out and I have to do this awkward dance around the dungeon to have it refill slightly to blast them again for a few seconds. The spell does do lingering damage after casting, so repeated quick blasts can gradually drain their health that way. What doesn't help though is when the game activates the pseudo kill cam towards the end of the fight, but doesn't actually have me kill the enemy in question, and this happened twice in a row in fact. The first lister's Draugr proves to be a tough one, but he is a Draugr and therefore not very smart, and gets killed by the spike trap. Rest of the dungeon is fairly normal, and the Draugr overlord at the end can't do much as I blast him from a distance he is unable to close. I then return the call to Lucan for the ward, and then steal it back because I'm a supervillain. With that done, it's on to Whiterun, and I get there like I always do by whitewater rafting down the rapids to the city. Nothing much happens other than Aelia, the supposed master archer huntress, missing his shot on a giant right in front of her and nearly hitting me, a passerby, with said shot. Once in Dragon's Reach, I speak to Balgrove and entertain myself by jumping on and knocking off all the food and stuff laid on the tables while dialogue I've heard 1,000 times plays. I also take the time to disenchant several items while I'm here, as raising my enchanting prowess is another one way to increase my low damage output with the spell going forward. I also go around and steal from the Jarl's quarters to fund my adventure. I know most objects aren't technically marked as being stolen, so I'm friends with Balgrove, so I also swipe several things that are marked as being stolen too. So once outside and having arrived at the Whiterun Tower, I try to help the situation by acting as a fantasy fireman and attempting to put out some of the fire. Makes me wonder, are ice mages employed as firemen in Tamriel? Anyway, I wasn't too thrilled about fighting the dragon, as they are another enemy type with high frost resistance. Luckily though, Earleth and the city guard make for great cannon fodder distractions, and one of them even ends up stealing the kill. Once that is done, I do teleport back to Whiterun so the Greybeards can rupture everyone's eardrums, and I turn my reward from Balgruuf. On my way to Ivarstead, and I get to freeze every bandit and all the wildlife I see, as leveling destruction magic can take a long time. Because of the limitations of this run, there's only like 4 or 5 perks in the destruction tree I can make use of, the highest one being level 60 in the skill. Even tiny bunny rabbits feel my icy embrace, as I surely have to get up the bunny slaughter counter in the combat tab. It must be important if the game keeps track of it. At the ritual stone, the necromancer there very quickly takes a chill nap, but her undead backup, mostly the zombie, take longer to dispose of. I'm guessing they too have resistance to my cool fingertips. The next detour is Valheim Towers, and I quickly introduce myself the only way I know how.
Alright everyone, chill. Chill.
It's here I find a novice robe of conjuration illusion, while not the magic I'm using, I equip for the sake of a new outfit. Once in a real challenge, I then storm Fort Amel and the hostile mages there. Any novice mages don't pose much of a threat, but this apprentice fire mage did get me to use some of my potions to stay in the fight. It's here I begin putting points into enchanting, and any enchanted gear I find throughout the run has been getting disenchanted for the sake of levels. Just before Ivarstead, then, I fight a troll, and it doesn't seem as if the frostbite is slowing him down. I know trolls are weak to fire, so I'm guessing they have a slight resistance to frost to counter that. Regardless, its pathing seems confused, typical for Skyrim, right? And I'm just about to counter its health regen and claim victory. Running up the 7,000 steps is the same as it usually is for the most part. The only problem, of course, comes with the frost troll towards the end, and like in many a first time playing Skyrim, he gives me quite the trouble. His frost resistance made my spells too ineffective to counteract his healing, so after he slapped me once and took over half my health, I just decided to book it past him. Meeting with the Greybeards and the typical song and dance, so nothing to go over as I go off to retrieve the note from where the horn is meant to be. On the way, I stumble upon Maik the liar in his random encounter, so I stop what I'm doing and patiently listen to his wise words.
Maik wishes you well. It does not matter to Maik how strong or smart one is. It only matters what one can do. Where bears? Where? Bears? Men that are bears? Dragons were never gone. They were just invisible and very, very quiet.
Once I arrive in Morthal along the way, Mirak's cultists spawn in to try to kill me. Normally when this happens, the guards in whatever settlement I'm in jump in to help kill these lunatics, but today the Morthal guards are feeling rather work-shy and stand by. This sucks because I am outnumbered and outmatched, and I end up dying. Next time, and I let them speak to me first. Last time I attacked first, but oftentimes the guards still join in prior experiences. And this time they are able to help and put the cultists down, who I proceed to then strip for the roads which offer better magicka recovery. With that over, I arrive at Ustengrav without any more troubles. Ustengrav was a mixed experience. The necromancers went down easily enough like other magic users before. The regular Draugr weren't much of a hassle, but the restless ones were. It would lead to moments like this where two of us would stand in front of each other, blasting away each other with concentrated, very cold air conditioning. I got lucky with this one thanks to a well-timed level up, thankfully. The skeletons and then the frostbite spiders are rarely ever an issue in the back half, and my heart sighs as I pick up a note and have to go meet with the worst character in the game. When I meet her, to make up for being a terrible person at least, Delphine does at least do nothing as I take all the gold coins lying around the inn. A good tip if you, like me, want to spend at least amount of time with her, you can speak and get the quest moving by talking to Delphine soon after she opens the cabinet, and not have to wait for her to get all the way to the basement. I still go down there to take more of her belongings. Heading to Kynesgrove, and I fast travel to Fort Amel as is the closest place there, and on the way I effortlessly demolish this wannabe thief. He didn't know what criminal mastermind he was dealing with. Once at Kynesgrove, I continue my thieving ways and rob the inn while everyone else is cowering in the mines with Alduin hovering overhead. The second dragon fight goes better than I had expected. Sure, I start by attacking before Salakanir grows his scales back, but I only had Delphine for backup, not the Whiterun guards, but she did play good tank and kept his attention while I chilled off his wings. This business concluded, it's back to Riverwood, and I stopped by Lucan to buy filled soul gems since I have no way of filling them myself and enchant a ring with more magicka regeneration. Keeping up the pace, and it's on to the Thalmor Embassy and to Solitude. When I get to the embassy, I must say to Elwyn,
We're party.
and then make my leave after trashing all the food onto the floor. Again, I was expecting the Thalmor to be somewhat tough, but they all crumpled the same under my finger blizzard. I'm not complaining, as later on, I'll come to miss facing enemies without any kind of frost resistance. The courtyard mages do put up a good fight, until I foil this one by simply hiding behind a tree. Inside the last building, it's more the same, supposed supremacists being outsmarted by cover, and dark elves who are feeling a bit under the weather. As for Malborn, he got caught up in a slight breeze and was such carried off by the common cold. Either way, back to Riverwood and Lucan to sell loot for more soul gems and grind some more enchanting levels, like before. While en route to Riften, I just wanted to show off these two moments of interest, like this tussle with some bandits that ended with one of their greatswords landing perfectly upright after death, which is pretty neat. Another was this three-way battle between a goblin, a frostbite spider, and a skooma-dealing wood elf, which the spider then won and was promptly frozen. Once at Riften, I get to talking with Brynjolf, and decide while I won't complete the Thieves Guild questline, I will at least join them. An odd glitch occurs after first conversing, as Brynjolf follows me outside, and despite it being 2 a.m., the option to begin his scheme in the market is active, and so Brynjolf begins peddling as a distraction for nobody but the guards and some few Stormcloaks. I then take this opportunity to rob a few other stalls, and then plant the ring like asked. From there, it's into the Ratway and to get to the Ragged Flagon and by extension, closer to Esburn. For once in his life, Droff nearly kills me as the game decided to give him the special fire arrows from the Creation Club. Either way, once at the Flagon, I turn around and finish the next task to extort the businesses in Riften, and in one instance coerce payment by shattering this man's pot with my ice. Serves him right for not unlocking his door and forcing me to have to pick it in the middle of the day. Now a member of the Sewer Enjoyer gang, it did pay off to join as I could loot the chests in the cistern and make off with a variety of valuables to sell for my own profit, like a true thief. Once Mercer is finished talking, I take off and never return, as now Tanelia is open to trade my stolen goods to. The Thalmor of the Sewers are few and are no more difficult to fight, especially once I pick up Esburn. After that's done, I do some more enchanting, decide to enchant the chef's hat I found, and for no particular reason, decided to wear it for the rest of the run. Fast traveling back again to Riverwood, Delphine and Esburn have their meetup before I take off towards Skyhaven Temple. On the way, I ran into not one, but 2 dragons, and also Maik again, so once more we'll pause and listen to the most enduring character of the entire Elder Scrolls franchise.
Maik hears many stories of war, yet few of them are true. Maik is always in search of calibers, yet he finds none. Where could they have gone? Maik carries 2 weapons to be safe. What if one breaks? That would be most unlucky. Maik is tired now. Go bother somebody else.
In the distance, I could see Alduin about to resurrect the scripted dragon outside Rorikstead, but before that could happen, Delphine did something that cemented beyond a doubt why she is such a character. I ran into a Thalmor patrol, and considering I have 2 Blades agents in tow and just fought some before, I attacked them. Only because of the slight bounty it gave me, I'm guessing, Delphine looks at the chosen Dragonborn she's sworn to protect and help, and the elven supremacist who obliterated her entire order, and decides to side with the latter and kills me! After that utter betrayal, we make it to Karthspire and I have to contend with both the Forsworn and the attacking Blood Dragon outside. Annoyingly, the dragon jumped me first, and I found myself hiding under the nearby bridge, waiting for my supposed backup to join in and help. Eventually, they showed up, and the dragon moved to attacking the Forsworn, helping to thin their numbers. It goes well, the dragon ended up somewhat stuck as his breath attack seemed to not be working, and Esburn is able to put it down. Mopping up the rest of the Forsworn is simple, as any quest with NPC backup is quite manageable with them doing the work, but I do lead the charge and make progress, including the puzzles of the temple itself. Getting sidetracked, I decide, being a criminal supervillain, I should seek out some quests that involve some criminality that isn't the Thieves Guild. Nothing against them, I just think most of their questline is really boring. So instead, I sought out Louis the Trush and agreed to steal their horse Frost from the Blackbriars, the name alone being reason to do this quest. I got the info from Sibby and extorted him for more gold too. At the Blackbriar estate, the mercs guarding the place were incredibly weak. A short blast takes down most of them very quickly. Either way, their steel plate armor will sell for a good septum, along with the various gold, clothes, and other trinkets from the home. After taking Frost, I take him to Louis. Second try, and no sudden death tumbles, and I then double-cross Louis and force him to allow me to keep the horse. It seems fitting that I keep him for myself given the parameters of this run. Next quest that comes to mind was Lights Out, the quest for Jaira about putting out the Solitude Lighthouse. I put it out the only way I know how. Would be cool if that actually worked. Making my way to the wrecked ship, I am informed by Dija of being double-crossed. Shame about telling an ice wizard like me that when you are a cold blizzard lizard person. Not very smart. From here, it's a short ride with Frost to the hideout cave to confront Jaira, as you don't promise riches to a supervillain and then not pay up. Suffice to say, he and his men don't put up much resistance, with the exception of Captain Hargar, who can take the frost damage, but is rendered too slow to fight back. Getting sidetracked again, but this time it is beneficial for progress, as I decide now's a good time to get the Elder Scroll, so I'm off to find Septimus. All the way, the courier gives me a note through my horse, and outside Alfthand, I encounter Ice Wreaths, who unsurprisingly are completely immune to frost damage. This dungeon was going to be tough had I tried to go through it normally. Just like the Ice Wreaths, all dwarven machines are immune to frost damage, and thus I have to run from them, having no way to hurt them. What also helps was picking up the Become Ethereal shout from Ustengrav earlier, and I can just plummet to safety down the descent and skip most of the dungeon. The Thalmor weren't pushovers either, as they do as well have high frost resistance given their history of being snow elves. I got afraid at one point, thinking I had to kill the Dwarven Centurion towards the end for the key to unlock the final gate, but thankfully I didn't need it, and after refrigerating Sala and Humana, I can descend into Blackreach. Just like Alfthand, I am just sprinting through Blackreach to get what I came for and nothing else. Want to know a fun fact about me? In my very first Skyrim playthrough way back when, I was at this quest and took the lexicon after transcribing it, and completely ignored the loud contraption bringing down the Elder Scroll. I didn't realize this for several days until I needed the scroll for the Sovngarde DLC, and was so confused trying to find it, I just looked it up, and I realized how stupid I was when I realized I had just walked right past it. At this point, getting to level 60 destruction before the first Alduin battle was getting too slow, so I resorted to a quick grinding method I know of. One of the many things added by the Creation Club with the Anniversary Edition of Skyrim were several spell tomes, some of which are located in a place called Hobbs Fall Cave in Dawnstar. Once cleared of necromancers, the tomes are lying in this chest. I want the Unbound Storm spell. So how this works is if you fast travel while the spell is active, the game will consider you to still be actively casting it while traveling, and upon loading in, you'll gain several levels in the Destruction School and several levels overall, which was enough to take me from level 15 to 21. This did get my destruction level to 89, more than enough to take the final 2 frost-related perks for more damage and one that paralyzes enemies when their health is low. Now that I'm fully powered up, it's time to ask the famous question.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
The first fight with Alduin went pretty smoothly. Having seen other people attempt runs in Skyrim with the weak spells, thank you Nurbit, I know to hide behind the stone wall to minimize the damage from Alduin, peeking out just enough to get some hits in before retreating. What also helps are the large amount of healing potions I had stockpiled from the get-go. Regardless, I do my victory dance of dribbling invisible basketballs afterwards, and it's on to everyone's favorite quest, the Peace Council. The idle spinning camera is a sign of serious intent and focus on this conversation. While the excitement of the Peace Council rages on, let me take this time to say a brief notice or announcement. I do also live stream challenge runs and a few other games I enjoy on Twitch at twitch.tv/BallinLikeStalin. I stream these types of runs every Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, typically at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come and watch and you can catch moments like this. When I attempted to kill Umbra in the Oblivion remaster for a Digit Artifact while doing a level 1 only run, one thing leads to another. She did eventually die after killing over 20 guards in the Imperial City herself. Alright, brief announcement over. Let's get back to the end of this run. Oh, the guard just killed one of the Peace Aliens. Yes! Yes, they did it! Yes! Yes! Finally! They finally got her! Jesus Christ, how long did that take? 127 arrows! She has 127 arrows in her body! After that stirring bout of arguing, it's on to trapping Odahviing, which is pulled off with a single hitch to hold him in place. Once it's Goldolphin, I don't fancy my chances against frost-resistant dragons and Draugr, all alone for a change, and begin running for the temple inside. To make up for my cowardice, I do take it upon myself to kill every Draugr inside the structure, at least so they don't harass me while I'm completing the puzzles. I do get some deja vu to the Regulator run in New Vegas, whenever a paralyzed Draugr drops to the ground. When back outside, I turn tail once again, however, and jump straight into the portal to heaven. Once in Sovngarde, Sund is the only real challenge here, and like the others I faced with heavy melee attacks and little ranged attacks, he can't do much of anything but grimace as I pelt him with my freeze ray, so entering the Hall of Valor is easy. Once done headbutting the heroes 3 to get a move on, the final bout with Alduin can begin. Like with any challenge run in Skyrim, the second battle is even easier with the forced backup, and I then send Alduin to the cooler, finishing the game of beating Skyrim with only the frost spell. Was this fun? Sure it was. I'm not one for playing with magic builds in any of the Elder Scrolls, but the simplicity of the run did make it more enjoyable in places. I'm probably going to be hearing the casting sound of the spell in my sleep for a while though. Regardless, if you enjoyed this run, be sure to let me know by leaving a sub, like, and or comment down below. Further, if you have any ideas for any future runs in any games you see me play, by all means leave that idea down below too. With that, that is all I have to say, along with a final goodbye.